This episode is rated M for mature audiences. The views and opinions expressed on this show are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect those of the PFC Entertainment Network or any of the affiliates that make this show possible.
This is the Pure Fury Creations Entertainment Network.
Where's the beat?
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Y'all pay the fool.
And we welcome you to What the 80s here on the PFC Entertainment Network. Along with Jill Bain, I'm Jason Klaus. We certainly appreciate you tuning in here this week. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to be looking at something of a survey that was taken presumably not all that long ago. We're going to find out just how deep this goes into it, but nonetheless, this is going to be one of those topics that if you don't feel old as an 80s kid, I got a feeling, Jill, that this particular topic this week is going to help you with that for sure.
And if you already do, it will probably push you straight over the fucking edge.
So call somebody is what we're saying. We don't need you going over the edge here.
Yeah, get
calm
your
down.
emotional support person.
Well, it's ironic that this is coming up here today. And the reason why that is, in terms of when this show drops, we'll get to that here in just a moment. But before we do, a couple of things that we want to do a follow-up on, based on what we had talked about last week on the show. But before we get there, how are you? How's things in your neck of the woods this week?
Pretty good. You know what? We lost some power the other day. That was not fun. But today it's sunny and I'm happy. I just like the sun.
I noticed you said it was sunny, but you elected not to give the temperature. Even though it's sunny out, it still very much feels like we are in February at this point.
Yeah.
And it's getting kind of frustrating, if I can be honest with you.
Yeah, it's April. I'm ready to not have to wear a hoodie to work, or at least not into work. Out, okay, it's colder at night, but yeah.
I don't know, man. This whole weather gimmick, just like anything else, that you especially, you and I sat here and talked for a little bit before we came on the air here. Everything is such a scam. The weather is no exception. We should be somewhere in the 50s, I would like to believe, based on historical average, but I guess we just going to have to wait a little bit more before that gets to be a thing. But you get a couple of nice days in there, and it really makes you clamor for spring. I know, like my kids spent all last week in Chicago for spring break. And, Chicago, traditionally known as the Windy City, they actually had some fairly decent weather over there. And then you get to here. One day we're having massive thunderstorms and people are losing their power. And the next day, it's snowing. Like, what in the fuck are we doing right now? I need Mother Nature to calm down, take a pill, and let's get things back in alignment to the way they're supposed to.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm asking for too much.
Maybe Father Nature should do some of his duties too, and maybe Mother Nature wouldn't be so mental.
That's a phrase you don't hear very often. Father Nature. Like nobody gives a shit about Father Nature. It's always about what Mother Nature wants. But yeah. But the weather is one of those universal things, man, where everybody has an opinion because it affects everybody. Whether you think it don't or not. Allergies, like that's the big thing that I've been hearing a lot about. Oh my God, my allergies are out of whack.
Yeah.
And like, knock on wood, like I don't deal with that kind of thing, but I really do feel bad for people that do have to, and that's truly unfortunate. So I did see, though, upon doing some research in the extended forecast, it looks like it's supposed to kind of start trending in the direction that we want to. Now, not to be the guy, but I couldn't help but notice that over the course of the next couple of weeks out in Las Vegas, Nevada, it's in the high 70s, low 80s. So I've got that to look forward to in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you know what? April is living up to the rainy month because yesterday we had rain. I think the day before we had some. Like I said, Wednesday we had that really bad. And it was one of those things because when I look at the weather and whether or not I should call in for the day, I have to look at two different cities, like what it is here and what it's doing in Flint.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I got to do that to make an opinion. And I'm like, whatever, by the time 11 o'clock rolls around, it should be good. Well, then we lost power, and I'm like, I'm not going in because, and this was at like 12, like between 12 and 12:30, and it was telling us we weren't going to have power until, at that time, the estimated time was like 1:15 in the morning.
Mm.
And I'm like, so I called in. It ended up being about 6 hours, but.
Did it?
Yeah.
I know a colleague that I work with. I'm not going to put all of his business out there. Well, yeah, I guess I am. I'm just not going to tell you who it is. He had lost power, but he has a generator.
Yeah.
That he went out and hooked up and all that, but he had been splitting his time between his house and then he was watching the dogs for a friend of his because they were on a cruise somewhere for their kids' spring break. So he was going back and forth, He wound up staying a little bit longer over at the other house, but he had a roommate there. And he's like, man, whatever you do, make sure that there's gas in the generator. Every 11 to 12 hours, you got to fill it back up so we don't lose power. Not only, or, keep power going, because he has a sump pump, brand new sump pump in his basement. You see where I'm going with this. Unfortunately, the roommate, for whatever reason, whether he passed out or just neglected to take care of that responsibility, did not refill the generator. Generator shut down. Sump pump shut down. Next thing you know, he's got 3.5 inches of water in his basement. And you want to talk about somebody pissed. His roommate's looking for a new place to live at this hour. I can report to you on that.
Well, I can tell you that roommate would have sucked all that water up with a goddamn straw.
That was just it. He was talking to me about it, and because he had texted me, he's like, look, I'm not coming into work, and here's why. And I was like, oh my God. And he had just spent a good part of last year getting the new sump pump hooked up and all this other shit. So he was confident that, it was not going to be a thing. I guess the real kick here is, Jill, is his roommate was actually his brother, and just elected not. It was more important for him to go to sleep. And then when he came home and realized that there was water down there, he went up and woke his brother up and was like, "Hey, we got water. You need to get your ass down here." He came down to assess the situation, didn't say one word, and they just walked back upstairs and then left until later on in the evening when he knew that he would be at work. Well, he didn't. He hadn't been to work since the flood, so I was like, "Holy shit!" Felt really bad for him.
Yeah, that's horrible.
Yeah, and on a few levels, I was like, "Oh man, it's your brother," but at the same time, of all people, he should really have made more of an effort to make sure that this shit didn't happen. But just saying, it's probably not going to be a real cozy Easter dinner here in a couple of weeks over at that particular household. But be that as it may. As a follow-up, you mentioned last week you were heading out to a specific event for, I cannot remember. I want to say Astronomicon, but I know that's not it. And the only reason why I say that is because the shit has been in my news feed. A lot of people that I knew went to Astronomicon and met a bunch of wrestlers and actors and things of this nature. Where was it your field trip took you to?
It was supposed to be a Paracon.
Paracon, yes.
And like even the description says like, if you know what a Comic-Con is, that's what this is going to be, but for the paranormal. Okay, great. Right up my fucking alley. And all proceeds went to, I don't remember the exact name, but it was a Fun Autism Foundation, I believe.
Okay.
So I'm like, you know what? Not bad. Whatever. Had to not argue, but then they added that Saturday, and I had to finagle my way out of it. We get there, and they promise like vendors and all kinds of people in that world, and no. We walked in. And it was from 9 in the morning until 8 at night. And then after 8, they were going to do a virtual paranormal investigation. Whatever. I did not do that. We got there and there was a lady speaking, and it was like a live event that was streaming. And what it was all these vendors that were supposed to be there basically recorded ads talking about their products and stuff. So that was the vendors they had there. So that sucked because I had money. I was ready to shop.
Right.
And I would say 97% of the speakers that they had listed were all virtual.
Really?
Yeah. And look, you put a second shifter that worked the night before that has to get up at 7 a.m. and you're in a dark theater, what are you doing? You're going to go to sleep.
Yeah. You fell asleep?
I did, multiple times. And my friend Christy went with me, and she kept elbowing me on one side, and her husband was on the other side. She's elbowing him to wake up. I will say the one plus from that whole situation yesterday is there's been a few businesses like in the Tri-City area that have kind of suffered, and one person has kind of swooped in and saved them all. One being the theater that we were at in Bay City. And this person also recently bought the Court Theater here in Saginaw.
Really?
Yes. So
Okay.
I talked to him a little bit and kind of thanked him. And anyone that knows, the Court Theater is like a huge part of my childhood. My dad worked there. And when I know I kind of vented to you about it going up for auction and, you know, being kind of scared of what it was, Was it going to turn into another dispensary? Like, what the fuck? Because they're popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
But he bought it and plans to keep it as a theater. And a friend of mine is actually, he's the one that told me who bought it. And they're kind of now, at least with the Court Theater, kind of in cahoots to keep it going and thriving. And they've got events planned already and everything. So I got to thank him, and that was
That's
huge.
great news. I'm really happy to hear that. I'm sorry that the rest of it sucked.
Yeah.
That's, man, I feel for you in that, for that, because anybody who knows you knows, whether they know you personally or they know you as the host of Creepy Soup, they know that this kind of thing is right in your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So obviously you're going to get excited. That'd be like me getting excited about going to WrestleCon, or something along these lines. And then I get there thinking I'm going to meet all these legends and have all these opportunities. Either they're not there, they are there, but they're fucked up, or it's winds up being a virtual thing. That's not what I paid for. That's not why I'm here. If I wanted to watch them on a TV screen, I would have saved myself a whole hell of a lot more money and time and effort and just popped in a DVD if I from one of their matches from back in the day, if I wanted that, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I can understand the frustration, and hopefully now is this an annual thing? Was this the first time they have done this?
Apparently it's going to be an annual thing, but each year is going to be a different state.
I see.
Because they're doing it virtually. So anybody in another state that they're going to be hosting this, look, I have no problem donating cash for like the foundation you're going for. I would have rather done that. We ended up, like I said, it started at 9 and went to 8, and I was home by 1 o'clock.
Damn.
Well, because I told them, because I could tell they were both, because I'm the one that got them to go, because a friend
Sure.
of mine had tagged me in a post, and I said, if you're staying just for me, like, if you're ready to go, you're not going to hurt my feelings. So she tells her husband, he leans over, he was like, you want to leave? And I'm like, yeah, I kind of do. So, like, we were out. We were gone.
Well, that's unfortunate. Hopefully the organizers can get their shit together and make this a more a better experience, I guess, for the lack of a better term. That is awfully frustrating and disappointing, and I'm sorry that wound up being a thing. It's too bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have the topic pulled up, and when you know it, the screen went white.
Yeah, mine's done that to me twice already.
I'm going to try this, though. I'm going to try to send it over to... see if I get any better luck with this. Hopefully it'll stay up and not go right through Messenger. Put it on in its own thing here on the internet thing, gimmick, as it were. Well, yeah, that's hopefully next year they'll get their shit together. Yeah. Anything else happening?
I know this coming Friday. My son, his friend, and I are going to investigate a historical building in Bay City, the Masonic Temple, actually, in Bay City.
Okay.
And so I'm pretty excited about that. So next week, and this is going to be one of those situations that it's run by reputable people. Not that the Paracon thing wasn't, but it's an author who's written several haunted Bay City, haunted other cities in Michigan books. Mine just went fucking white. And the actual people who run own the building of the Masonic Temple. They're in it together, so it's going to be an actual thing, not, yeah. So I got that to look forward to, so I'm excited for that.
Well, hopefully they, well, like you said, they've got their shit together, and it winds up being a better experience overall for you. So I'm cautiously optimistic for you. One quick follow up that I had, I did receive my baseball jersey this week, and if you listened a couple of weeks ago here on the show, Jill had gotten hers, and there was a little bit of we'll call it a discrepancy of sorts based on how things are presented and what we got in return. And then I started thinking, I'm like, because I had already placed my order, and I'm like, damn, I'm hoping I'm not running into the same thing, because we're kind of granular about men's fits and girls' fits and how they're cut differently and all this, that, and the other thing. I did get mine the other day. I sent you a picture of it, a couple pictures of it, and it is exactly what you described. And it is a tighter fit. It does not fit like a 2X. You know, I'm not the Incredible Hulk, but I'm not a small dude. Like I'm a pretty big guy, and just like I know how 2Xs are supposed to feel. This is a little bit tighter than I would like it to, but I mean, it's not. I'm not risking busting out the buttons off of it or nothing. But
Right.
it was as soon as I pulled it out, I'm like, pajama top. And the ironic part is that the night before, my girl had put on her pajamas, and like I started chuckling because I'm like, this feels very similar to what she had just had on the night before. It just has my logos and shit on it. And I'm like, the graphics look great.
Absolutely.
The graphics look great. Clean, nothing is distorted. I mean, make no mistake, I'm still going to wear it, especially when I'm doing, things like this or public appearances or what have you. But just wasn't all that. I wanted more. I expected more, and I'm left feeling somewhat disappointed. And I didn't bother writing anything in to Printify, although I probably should, and I probably will. But you had posted something about it. Printify sent me a notification like I'm supposed to fix it. Like, what the fuck do you want me to do? I didn't make it. I just designed the logos for it. That was as far as my creative process went into it. This is a you thing. This is a distributor issue. You're going to have to take that up with them. Right. So I'm trying to figure out what I can do as the store owner to make shit right, but it's completely out of my hands.
Right.
So yeah, that was disappointing. Yeah. But
oh yeah, I'm still gonna wear it.
Oh, for sure. I'm going to see it, and I'll bitch about it when I'm wearing it. But be that as it may, I'm still going to wear it. Well, let's make a transition here and look back on this day in 1980s history. Now, I said in the program that this day was going to be a little bit extra for me this week, because this show is dropping on Wednesday, April the 9th. And anybody who knows my story knows that my birthday is April the 9th. So it's kind of weird that I'm focusing on, thank you. So I had a little bit of fun going back and looking to see what happened on this day in the 1980s. And a lot of sports. a lot of sports, but there's also other things that were going on in the world around this day. For example, the top 3 headlines that they give me here is in 1981, Los Angeles Dodgers pitcher Fernando Valenzuela pitched a shutout on opening day in his first major league start. So that's worth noting.
That's impressive.
Yeah, for sure. In 1984, Terms of Endearment won Best Pitcher at the 56th Annual Academy Awards. A lot of awards were handed out on this day, or with this movie. Shirley MacLaine won for Best Actress. In Terms of Endearment had most wins with 5, most nominations with 11, but Shirley MacLaine won for Best Actress for that movie. Best Actor award went to Robert Duvall for his portrayal in Tender Mercies. So, we'll get to that here in a minute. In 1989, Nick Faldo beat Scott Hotch on the second hole of the playoffs to win the Masters. I know the Masters is always held around this time of the year. I'm not a big golf fan. I'm trying to learn more of it for the sports show because Tim is getting real aggravated about being the only guy who talks about golf. And the Masters is a big tournament. So I'm trying to get educated here. It ain't working out for me very well, if I can be honest with you. Notable birthdays of people from the 1980s. Actress Michael Learned was born on this day in 1939. They have her credit here in the show Nurse, although I know her from the Waltons. She was one of the main characters on the Waltons. Steve Gadd, a drummer, was born in 1945. Peter Gammons, baseball analyst, born in 45. Country singer Hal Ketchum was born in 53. Actor Dennis Quaid was born in 54. Cynthia Nixon, actress, was born in 66. And in 1979, Keisha Knight Pullum, who we knew as Rudy Huxtable, was born. Also, Steve Yzerman of the Detroit Red Wings was also born on this day. As was Hugh Hefner, if anybody cared. Okay. The only movie released on this day in the 1980s was Dr. Otto and the Riddle of the Gloom, which starred Jim Varney. If I say Jim Varney, you know who he's better known as?
Ernest.
Ernest P. Worrell. You know what I mean, Vern?
What do you mean, Vern?
The final episode of Three's a Crowd, which was a spin-off of Three's a Company, aired in 1985. It only went for 1 season, 2 episodes.
I remember watching it because I loved Three's Company and being very disappointed.
Yeah, it didn't have nearly the same charm as Three's Company did, for sure. Music albums released on this day. In 1982, The Broadsworth and the Beast by Jethro Tull. Jump Up, the 16th album available from Elton John. The Reckoning by REM in 1984. And then in 86, The Other Side of Life by the Moody Blues. That was their 12th album. Couple of other sports headlines here. In 1980, Gordie Howe, longtime legend of the Detroit Red Wings, scored his final NHL goal. You know, that man played professional hockey up into the late 80s. He was in the late 80s, not the decade. Just insane. What else here? Tom Seaver of the Chicago White Sox was the starting pitcher in a record 15th opening day game that happened in 1985. Wayne Gretzky in 87 became the all-time playoff scoring leader for the NHL. And in 1989, Rickey Henderson, playing for the Yankees at this time, stole his 800th career base. In other news, in 1983, the Space Shuttle mission Challenger 1 returned to Earth, not to be confused with the follow-up in 86, and we all know what happened there. And then in 1989, God damn, I remember this. 53-year-old Bill Wyman of the Rolling Stones got engaged to his 19-year-old girlfriend, Mandy Smith. They had been dating since she was 13. Yeah. Yes, ma'am. In 1965, this is also notable, the Houston Astrodome opened. The Yankees beat the Astros in an exhibition game, the first indoor baseball game. Mickey Mantle hit a home run in that game. And then that takes us to the number one songs on this day in the 1980s. We've mentioned this one for the last 2 weeks. Why not make it 3? 1980, Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd. In 1981, Rapture by Blondie. 82, again, I Love Rock and Roll by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. 83, Billie Jean. 84, Footloose. 85, One More Night by Phil Collins. 86, Rock Me Amadeus. 87, Nothing's Going to Stop Us Now by Starship. 88, we talked about this one a little bit last week, Get Out of My Dreams and Get Into My Car by Billy Ocean. In 1989, The Look by Roxette. Love that song, love that band. Yep. They were, I was a fan of Roxette, and that's the song that really put them on the American map. Yep. They were big in Sweden, that's for damn sure. All right, anything of those little tidbits stand out to you? Anything that you're like, oh my God, I remember the Bill Wyman thing? Like, I remember that, like, because creepy as fuck.
Mm-hmm. That's like that one dude that married that girl. She was 16. He played the asshole in the Green Mile. I can't think of his real name. Doug something.
Percy.
Yeah, but his real name was Doug something, and he married. I want to say she was 15 or 16, and her parent. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic.
I did not know that until last week, and Samantha and I were talking about different movies. We had watched one movie, and then The Green Mile popped, or it came up in conversation, and she told me that, and I didn't know that was a thing. Like, he was a little bitch in that movie to begin with.
Yeah.
But then to hear that, I'm like, this dude's just a straight up piece of shit. I mean, that's all that is.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. It's kind of weird for me to say that because I'm 15 years older than she is. But, like, we didn't start dating until I'm in my late 40s and she's in her early 30s. You feel me? So it's kind of different.
Yeah, it's different because she was an adult and was able to make an informed decision to get into the relationship.
Right.
At 16, especially if your parents are pushing it and basically prostituting you out. And let's face it, at 16, you're thinking of, this guy's got money. Like, he's not an A-list actor or anything, but I'm sure he makes money every time the Green Mile plays somewhere. Or, I know he's been in other shit, but that's just what I know him from. Mm-hmm. And, he knows famous people. And so at 16, that's probably the biggest thing on your mind. Not, this fucker's grooming me.
Right. Yeah. Ugh.
And one of the streaming things, it might be Hulu. Um, there's a documentary about her.
Maybe that's what brought up the conversation.
Yeah, I don't know
Because
the name of it.
we were watching Hulu and she had seen something and it triggered the conversation. And I was just like, God damn.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah, disgusting.
Before we get into the topic, and I meant to say it at the top of the show, but we started talking and about other stuff. And then when I was going through the birthdays and I saw Dennis Quaid is celebrating a birthday today, we want to make mention real quick here on What the 80s about the send our condolences to the friends, family, and fans of Val Kilmer, who we lost last week. And I was at work when news of this broke. He died on April the 1st, and that's why I immediately dismissed it, because I thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Right.
But once I started realizing that reputable sources such as NBC and Entertainment Tonight, TMZ got a hold of it, and I'm like, okay, there's something to this. And within 15 minutes, Twitter was on fire about it. I was like, oh man. I have said, Val Kilmer is one of those guys where I probably didn't appreciate him as much as I should have. I know of him, primarily because of Top Gun. He was a big part of Top Gun in 1986, but it was his portrayals. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. But it was his portrayals in the early 90s that really got him on either one side of the spectrum or the other, because he was crucified as Batman in Batman Forever. But man, his portrayal of Doc Holliday in Tombstone, one of my favorite movies. And I know he hadn't been doing very well health-wise in the last handful of years. We saw him sporadically. I do know he had something of a cameo in the new Top Gun movie. I haven't watched it, if I can be honest with you. I just saw a clip of it. We wanted to take a moment here and acknowledge and send our condolences to those who have suffering this loss. Val Kilmer is, say what you want. Very popular, very polarizing, very this, very that, but he made his mark for sure.
Just let you know.
Joe, I think you froze. We're going to give her just a moment. We're having, I don't know, she's going to be coming back on the call here in just a moment. I don't know, something funny has been going on this weekend with Riverside.fm. I've been trying for the last day and a half to get Creepy Soup uploaded, and it has caused all kinds of issues. I don't know what is happening or what the hang up is, but as you can tell, and I'm not suggesting that it's anything that she's done. She recorded the show as she normally does. She sends it to me. I do all the stuff as I usually do. For whatever reason, Riverside keeps rejecting it, and we're trying to figure out why. So, just waiting for her to pop back up on here. I don't know if her internet went down or what have you. So here's what we'll do. We'll go ahead and I'll throw a big, little shout out, or a cheap plug, I guess I should say. Because on April the 15th, which about a week and a half away or so, we're going to be launching our summer lineup for the PFC store. You'll be able to go to pfcsummer.printify.me and see damn near 100 new items that are being added to that particular lineup. We've got basketball uniforms, jerseys and shorts for the corresponding shows, tank tops, hats, children's, what do they call them? Clogs is how they're described on there, but I know that the kids are calling them something different. Beach towels, there's a new lineup of beach towels on there. A couple of other, summer inspired gimmicks and things of this nature. So you'll be able to check those out beginning April the 15th. PFC Printify or PFC summer.printify.me, and then you can check out the regular store at pfcstore.printify.me. I am really surprised she's having this much issue gaining back onto the show. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a quick timeout, and we will be back with more of What the 80s here on the PFC Entertainment Network right after this.
Do you have a piece of old furniture or family heirloom that has seen its best days and you're looking to revitalize it in a fun and unique way? Let me tell you about our friends at First and Spring Designs, located in Hadley, Michigan. Andrea Bridges has used her talents and unique eye for art to bring back to life various articles of furniture in a way few realize was a possibility. Instead of throwing away that old table or chair, contact Andrea to see what they can do to restore life into that piece. And if you're in the market for a unique piece to add to your home, Andrea has several pieces of furniture that are done and ready for purchase. You can see some of these items on sale right now at the Barnhouse Vintage in Swartz Creek. See what kind of magic Andrea can add to your home with reimagined vintage furniture restoration. Look for First and Spring Designs on Facebook or send an email to andreagrace2015@outlook.com. First and Spring Designs, unique restoration of yesterday's treasures.
If it happens in the world of professional wrestling, it's fair game on the Fatal 4-Way. Every other week, Jason Klaus, Sean Grugel, Waddell Edwards, and Brian Bolf break down the unpredictable world of pro wrestling. From WWE and AEW to the independent circuit and all points in between, the Fatal 4-Way covers it. And you can join the conversation by calling into the show live as it happens. Eyes the Fatal 4-Way, and it's exclusively available on ONTV's Facebook page and their television platforms. Check out pfcnetwork.net for schedules and showtimes. Tag into the action by calling in live. It's the Fatal 4-Way, the area's only live interactive call-in pro wrestling talk show. Exclusively presented by ONTV.
And welcome back to the show. We're still having something of an issue getting Jill back on. To direct quote her, she says her connection is being a dick. So, oh my goodness. So yeah, we're trying very hard to get her back in on the show. So I don't want to really start going into this topic without her here. I'm filibustering is what's happening. Just I don't know how the thumbs up emoji got such a shit reputation, but it really does have one at this. All right, let's go back up here real quick. Kind of look at a couple of the things that I skipped over in terms of this day in history. I'll do this for a minute, and then if not, we'll get into the topic, and then we'll come back and revisit if Jill gets on here. Do want to make, yeah, this time of year it gets it's very sports heavy in terms of historical significance, because this is around the time opening day happens for Major League Baseball. And anybody who knows me knows I'm a big baseball guy. And so while there is a lot of sports news and information on this, I try to steer away from that for Jill's sake, because she's not necessarily a big sports fan, and I can understand that. But Brian Downey, who was playing for the California Angels at this time in 1981, became the first major league player to hit a grand slam in the first inning of opening day. And these are very very significant in terms of milestones. A year earlier, George Foster of the Cincinnati Reds hit the first home run of the 1980s. First inning home run off of Braves pitcher Phil Niekro. And the Reds would wind up going on to win 9-0 at Riverfront Stadium in front of 51,774 fans. So, let's see where she's at right now. And still having issues. So we'll go ahead and get started on this list here, and then like I said, we will revisit if she gets back onto the show here. So we're going to be looking at a series of things here, and this was submitted by Jill, and it's titled, "If you've done more than 20 of these 80s kids things, you're 100% old." So what they've done here is taken a variety of different things and activities, and as she is coming back onto the show, looking happy about it too. I don't. Hi.
I am so fucking irritated. I'm so sorry.
No.
So sorry.
Listen, it's not your fault that your connection is being a dick. That was a direct quote. We ran a couple of ads. I did a plug because Fatal 4-Way is this Friday on ONTV, and it's our big WrestleMania preview episode. So tune in if you're a wrestling fan and you're involved in the hoopla that is WrestleMania 41. We're breaking it all down this Friday on the Fatal 4-Way, 6 p.m. live on ONTV. And I just started to tee up the topic when you came back on, so you haven't missed anything. So,
well, now that I'm using my phone, I'm not going to be able to see the topic because that's what I was using to see the topic, and now I can't do that.
It's all right. It's all right. I'm going to steer you through this. Yeah, everything's going to be great. Everything's thumbs up emoji. All right. So, yeah, these are 20 things. If you did more than 20 of these kids' things in the 1980s, guess what?
You're old.
You're old. We're going, the way they have done it is it's kind of like a quiz. And they give me the answers based on, this particular one, 3 different options. And then they'll tell me how the majority of the people voted. For example, have you ever drunk a Squeeze-It, Jill?
No.
Really?
I mean, I've tried it. I don't like them.
They had that overly plastic aftertaste, did they not?
Yes.
So there are three options where I've done that, I've never done that, and never heard of that. 61%, man, with almost 57,000 votes. 61% said I've done that. 21%, I've never done that, and 18% has never heard of Squeeze It. I don't think those are even a thing anymore, are they? Or are they discontinued?
I mean, I don't think the Squeeze It is, but I know like they still have the Kool-Aid, and I call them Squeeze Its because they're in the same type of bottle, and those usually go in my grandkids' Easter baskets.
Yeah. Okay. So the legacy lives on, just with a different label, more or less. Yeah. Looks like here they've got strawberry, orange, cherry, and grape, maybe. It's hard to tell with this particular picture. Okay. It looks like all of these have the I've done that, I've never done that, I've never heard of that. So that'll make this easy. Have you ever had or read a Cabbage Patch Kids book, Jill?
I have not. Are they a thing?
They are. I do remember the books. I have never done that. That got 50%. Only 42% said that they have, and 8% said they have never heard of them. Oh. Have you listened to the original We Are the World?
Yeah. And I can see it now because now my laptop is working properly, so I'm looking at it through there. Not only have I listened to the original, but our choir for one of our spring concerts, I believe it was, sang that.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. 79% have listened to the original version of We Are the World. There is a documentary right now, I believe it's on Netflix, about the night that song was recorded. The Biggest Night in Pop, I believe it's called. And I have not had the opportunity to sit down and watch that yet, but I'm told it's a very good documentary and it's worth looking into. So if you were a fan of the song, because you want to talk about groundbreaking, like the who's who of the music world converged in one studio at one time to record this song. And man, you want to talk about an ego shift. The fact that they were able to get all that done without anybody really killing each other is nothing short of a remarkable feat. Michael Jackson and Stevie Wonder and Huey Lewis. Like, there's the who's who, Lionel Richie, Kim Carnes. You name them. If they were somebody in the early 80s, their asses were in that studio to record this song. This was for the Africa relief, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, USA for Africa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you saying original? Is there a remake of that song?
Made me question that too, because this is how this is written. It's the original We Are the World. So it makes me wonder if there's a remake or an alternative version of it. I don't know. 7%, which equals to 4,900 people had never heard of this song. Clearly, they were not 80s kids.
No.
Okay. Have you ever found Alf funny, but were also creeped out by him?
Yeah.
I loved Alf. Even if he did want to eat a cat, I didn't give a shit. 72% found him funny, but were also creeped out. What was creepy about Alf?
I mean, I don't know what was creepy. I didn't watch it. I didn't.
Oh, that's right. You weren't a fan of that show.
Yeah.
It shouldn't have been as popular as it was, but I mean, this motherfucker like 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. No.
All right. Have you ever played with the speak and spell?
I have.
Well, see, these ads are trying to mess me up. 62% have played the speak and spell, 30% never did, and 8% had never heard of it.
At
Yep,
least it's
good
a
old,
low percentage that's never heard of it.
yeah. Have you ever owned a bunch of random California Raisins PVC action figures that you never remembered getting? Oh, man.
I had the first one I had the guitar.
Mm-hmm.
He had a little guitar, and if I'm remembering correctly, Hardee's had them in, I believe it was their kids' meals, or maybe they were just available with meals in general. But I remember that's where we got a lot of them because my niece's mom worked at Hardee's when these were out.
You know, Hardee's is one of those franchises that, I mean, at one time they were super fucking popular.
Yeah.
And when you could get a licensing agreement with something like the California Raisins, you know, that was a vote of confidence. Not so many Hardee's around nowadays, especially in this area. I don't know of any where I'm at, you know, close to where I'm at. Is there one out by you?
Yes, it's in Bridgeport,
Okay.
which is still, I believe, technically part of Saginaw County at least.
Mm-hmm.
They built it attached to a Love's truck stop.
Those are the ones I do see remaining, and it's usually in Ohio, and they are attached or built within a truck stop or a rest area. Not a lot of standalones
Right.
in this day and age. So, all right. Have you ever eaten Jello pudding pops?
Yes. Yes.
12% never heard of them. 63% have. Jello pudding pops were the essential 80 ice cream treat for a long time.
Yep.
That ice shell that you broke through, and then it was the pudding. Oh, God.
I know.
Awesome.
I wish those would come back.
Maybe you're just going to have to make your own at this point, you know. Nowadays, you can have a little fun with it. You can have a kid's version and adult version.
Yeah,
Just
sure.
put a little Baileys in there. Have you ever watched the Snorks?
Yes.
I'm curious to see how this one pans out. 48%. Okay, so they've stayed with an 80s crowd here. 48% did see the Snorks. 21% have never heard of them. They were creepy. I watched them, but they were creepy as hell. The little gimmick off the top of their heads. I mean, I guess it's how they breathe, but weird. Have you ever gotten or wanted a Care Bear?
I wanted one.
You never had one?
My aunt used to crochet them, and that's what I had. I had a fucking knockoff.
68% had or wanted a Care Bear. I always liked the green one because that one stood out for some reason. I don't remember exactly what bear he was, but they do have a picture of him.
Yeah, I believe it was the Lucky Bear.
Yeah, there's this here is Tender Heart. That one I do remember. Oops. Gloomy Bear or something like that is the blue one in the back in the back row next to Sunshine Bear. I do remember that.
Yep, I wanted the one with the rain cloud. That's the one I
Yeah.
wanted.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God, this one just took me back. Have you ever played with the Fisher Price Little People Family Play Farm? I remember the Play Farm. I remember this whole set. I remember that whole set. That
I
is
played with
fun.
it, but it wasn't mine. I had the Little People house.
Okay. 77%, 41,500 people said that they had, or they knew, or they played with the farm. That's wonderful. As was Highlights Magazine. Have you
Yeah.
ever read Highlights Magazine?
I had a subscription.
So did we. Yep.
Loved
To this
it.
day, I can go into my doctor's office and they still have old issues of Highlights Magazine.
Yep, I used to love them. The spot the difference and just I loved it. I loved
Just
magazine.
God, it was such a fun magazine. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
well, I don't know if they're making. Well, I guess the whole magazine type of thing right now is really. I mean, there's a few of them still out there that you can get at the supermarkets and things of this nature, but the newsstand is nowhere near as full as it used to be. You know, everything's gone digital. You know.
Yep.
I don't know if I can still get a physical copy of like Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine. 100% on it. 100% on it. All right. Have you ever sung the Muppet Babies theme song?
I don't think so.
No?
I'd have to listen to it.
I feel like I can hear it ringing in my head, but I'm not going to attempt to sing it.
No.
But 53% have, so 9% had never heard of it. Have you ever watched Double Dare and thought you could beat the obstacle course?
Yes.
Yeah, who did? Until you get in there and you realize how difficult that thing really was. But man, Double Dare was a fun show, especially the weeks that they got the celebrities or the athletes into it.
Yep.
Good shit.
It was. Yeah. Very much so.
Have you ever been to a video rental store that had an adult section behind saloon doors?
Yep.
Don't go back there. I mean, there's just a curtain and these saloon doors that are separating you from that, but don't go back there.
Yeah.
God damn. 70% done that. 23 have not. I'm calling bullshit.
Yeah.
And then 7% they have never heard of it.
Yeah, and those are the 7% that have Pornhub.
Yes, absolutely. Have you ever been scared to eat Pop Rocks and drink a soda at the same time because of the urban legend? Are you familiar with it? So your stomach didn't blow up?
Nope.
Okay.
It did not.
Okay. 56%. Oh, this motherfucker. My first hang up since doing it this way. Okay. 56% were scared to eat the Pop Rocks and drink the soda at the same time. Have you ever had or wanted a glowworm toy? I did not. I didn't want one. Didn't play with one. I thought they were obnoxious. I remember the commercial for it, but it just wasn't in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, by the time they came out, I was too old, I think, for something like that.
Have you ever ridden in the back of a station wagon with no seat belts or seats?
Yes.
I think about the family truckster of the Griswolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did this too. So did 70s. Oh my God! Did your family have a station wagon?
No, my best friend's family did, so that's the station wagon. But my stepdad had a truck with a cab on it, and us kids used to ride back there with no seatbelt.
When we were kids, in the fall, my dad would go up to Standish and cut down wood and load wood into the back of his truck to bring home because we had a wood-burning stove at our house in Hadley. And that's how it was him and a couple of his work buddies. So my brother and I got the fortune to sit in the bed of the truck with the cap on with his one buddy that was the most annoying out of the group. He got stuck with us.
Well, that's why he was back there with you, because they didn't want to deal with them.
Yeah. Yep. It took, I don't know what, like an hour to get up there, hour and a half to drive up there. Not a seatbelt or a seat to be had. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that. Have you ever owned a Rubik's Cube that you never remembered getting?
You know what? It was a Rubik's Cube, but it was the keychain. And I don't remember how I got it. Truthfully, I do not remember. I just remember I had it.
82% said that they have done that. 0% have never heard of it. So I remember the keychain. Forgot about it until you just mentioned that.
Yep.
Hey, have you ever wanted the clapper because of the TV commercials?
Yeah. Because that was one of those things, when we were kids, we were the channel changers. We were the light turner offers. That was all on us. So to have one back then, that would have been great. But we probably still would have had to fucking clap to turn it off.
One for us was for the parents.
Yep.
For sure. 10% had never heard of the clapper. 64% have, and then 26% said no. So, have you ever gotten a lot of joy just from smelling strawberry shortcake dolls?
A lot of joy? No. I mean, I don't know. It's not like I sniffed a strawberry shortcake doll and broke out in song or anything. Did they smell good? Sure. But no.
So smelling a friend's doll didn't make you want one anymore?
No. I mean, not really. I eventually got one, but it was one of the lesser knowns. It was Gooseberry a Goose is the one I had. That's the one I had.
Oh. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, that's wonderful. All right. Oh, Lord. Have you ever read Beverly Cleary books with these illustrated covers? And we're looking at books with the titles of Ramona Quimby, age 8. Some of these are hard to see. Henry and Beezus, Henry and Ribsy, Henry and the Paper Route, and then Dear Mr. Henshaw. Beverly Cleary was, she was the kid's author back in the day. Like, she would have laid the ground for your J.K. Rowlings and whoever does the Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
Yeah.
This I'm trying to think of the series like my kids have read since then, but it did start with Beverly Cleary. Either her and Shel Silverstein were, and Dr. Seuss, obviously, but those were the prominent children's authors back in the 80s. Do you remember these books?
I remember them. I want to say the Henry and Beezus. I remember that one because the name just really sticks with me. But I've heard of them, but I've never really read them.
Okay. Have you ever been scared that you were going to hit your shins on the metal pedals of your bicycles? And if you're watching us on Spotify or YouTube, that is what our pedals used to look like. And if your shins got a hold of those, they were shredded.
Shredded like fucking cheese. Though, oh my God, seeing that picture gives me some PTSD. I think they were terrible. If you didn't line that up just right, or your foot slipped and spun it around and your foot fell, your shin was like, no. Yeah, no, those were awful. I gotta scroll. I can't look at that picture no more.
I hear you. Have you ever watched Square One, but mainly for MathNet? Now, I looked at the poll results because, I'll be honest, I don't know what this is. Neither did 46% of the people polled. They'd never heard of this. Only 13% had. Do you know about this?
No. I would be in that 46%. I have no. I wonder if maybe that was like a regional thing.
I don't know if it's a regional thing, if it's a British thing. I have no idea. I have never heard of this.
Mm-mm.
Have you ever listened to Mouser Size?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had it.
Holy shit, 34% didn't know what this was. Only 24% did.
Wow.
It's interesting. 42%, which won the poll, have never done that. I'm calling bullshit on that. I feel everybody, whether you want to admit it or not, you did this shit. I just got have you ever opened a car door that looked like this and weighed more than you? Now, again, oh man, it kicked me back up to the top of the goddamn list. At least it didn't go white on me. I'm trying to pull the picture up. So, I mean, this is one of those, if you know, you know.
Could you imagine being on the door line with that motherfucker? No.
Dude, that is what the inside of your car door used to look like. And this part right here, is that right? No. Down in here is you had a goddamn ashtray with a cigarette lighter in there.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. I couldn't imagine being on the door line with that thing. Oh.
No. Huge, right? Like that would have been. Have you ever gotten stuck? Have you ever stuck your fingers in the coin return slot of a payphone to see if there's forgotten change in there? Number one, most of the people listening to this probably have never seen a fucking payphone, if I can be honest with you. But I did that. So did 92%. 1%, 457 people had no idea what the hell they were talking about here. Payphones. You did that, though, didn't you? Did you freeze?
Don't kick me out, please.
Okay, there you are. Nope, I see you. I hear you. Oh, nope, there she went. Okay. Oh, she is not going to be happy. All right. There's just a couple of more on here. We'll go ahead. I'll do this one here. Have you ever been completely frightened by Large Marge? Oh, hi, Jill.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on today. But yeah, I have stuck my fingers in the coin slot.
Yeah, there's just a couple of more here. Have you ever been completely frightened by Large Marge from Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
Yes, I have.
So was 43%. 18% have never heard of Large Marge, and they need to be educated. The 6,700 people voted. You need to go do some research.
Yes.
And tell them Large Marge.
That's horrible.
Oh, right. That's pop culture icon. Yeah, Large Marge. Have you ever read Sweet Pickles books?
Yes. My mom had bought me a whole set of Sweet Pickles. It was in a special case and everything.
43%, of which I'm a part of, have never heard of it. Only 22%.
There was even a commercial.
I don't know the. I feel like I would remember something called Sweet Pickles.
Yeah.
Just doesn't register. Oh my God. Have you ever had square pizza for school lunch? Now, listen, school lunches is something that we've talked a lot about on this show, and well, not on this show, but our predecessor, Power Tripping, through the 80s. If you wanted to see what your typical school lunch looked like in the 1980s, that is it.
Yep.
Your square pizza, corn, milk, fruit cocktail, and it looks like a pretzel with a mustard packet.
Well, we never got the pretzel. So I
pizza
a little
was the
there.
greatest shit ever invented.
But that square pizza,
I'm telling you,
the best.
I wish I could find the recipe for it.
Again.
Jill, you still with us? There you are. Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
I am so sorry.
It's not your fault. It's technology. It's not all it's cracked up to be.
It is not.
Okay.
But yeah, that square pizza thing is the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, Walmart does something very similar. Walmart has a similar pizza.
Do they?
Yep.
Well, I'm going to have to go check that out. Is it frozen or in their like deli gimmick?
In the deli area, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to have to check that out then. What I wouldn't give for school pizza now, that was like that back in the day. Like that, God, it was so awesome. We all talked shit about it back in the day, but I'd give anything to have some. Okay. Have you ever held the gun directly in front of the TV screen whenever you played Nintendo's Duck Hunt?
Yes.
Who the fuck?
Everybody did.
65%. Well, how could you not? What a dumb question.
Right. And the
Tell you what,
25 that says they never did that, they must be worried about the Nintendo police because they're lying.
I'm with you on that. If I have to scroll this whole list one more time, I'm going to go nuts. All right. We're getting there, folks. Stand by. All right. Have you ever had or wanted a trapper keeper? What's wrong?
No, my thing was saying connected. Oh, today.
No, it's been a day. It has been a day. All right. Can you believe that 21% of those polled, which equals to 7,400 plus people, have never heard of a trapper keeper?
That's insane to me.
Insane to me too. And it makes me. Oh yeah, I had a few of them.
Yeah, me too. My very first one was green, just plain green.
I remember the plain ones first, and then like the next year or the year after that, we got like the cosmic designs, or all kinds of. I know. Yeah. Oh my God! It did it again. Okay. As you could tell, our patience is really starting to work in here in the latter part of this episode. We do apologize. Shit doesn't need to be this difficult, though.
No, I don't drink, but after this, I might do a shot.
For real. I do, and I will. All right. Have you ever watched Perfect Strangers?
Yes, but not during its original run. It was in syndication.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
This was an ABC show. I do remember watching it in its original run. The premise of it was kind of cool, but I don't know, the American guy always annoyed the shit out of me. Balky Bronson Pinchot was what made the show, and yes. I watched it because of his role from Beverly Hills Cop, and he was so damn funny in that. And he hasn't really done a whole hell of a lot since then, but this show does stand out.
Yeah, and I really feel he could have been huge. I really do.
Yeah. Yep. Have you ever collected Puffy stickers?
Yeah. In fact, I had those exact ones that they're showing, which is the Ghostbusters one.
The real Ghostbusters from the cartoon. I had Knight Rider ones. I had WWF ones. Pac-Man, I believe, at one point. Everybody would want to trade. I'll give you this one for that one. But once you peel the sticker off, there was no, like, that adhesive was done at that point.
Right. So that's when you had to get slick and cut them.
Yep. See, you're always thinking ahead there. I never thought about that. Just like, there you go. Did you or have you participated in Pizza Hut's bucket program?
No.
And then neither. 24% had never heard of it. Oh, Jesus Christ. Have you ever watched Jem and the Holograms and slowly realized that Rio was cheating on Jericho with Jem?
No. Well, I never watched it, really, to begin with. It wasn't, not my thing. But Yeah, I know. Wonder if we can watch it now.
Oh,
I
I'm
want to
sure
know.
it's on. Yeah. But even as a kid, that's the last fucking thing I was thinking about, I feel like.
Right. Right.
So stupid. Have you ever had a Hostess fruit pie? And I mean like the original with
Yeah.
all the cool flavors on them.
Yes. The apple was my favorite, and the blueberry.
Blueberry and lemon were my go-tos. We never found the blackberry. Every once in a while, every once in a blue moon, we would get blackberry and strawberry. Strawberry's my fave, if I can be honest with you.
Yeah, the strawberry was really good, but I was a chocolate pie person.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But if that wasn't an option, blueberry or apple for sure.
Well, those are the most popular. Those are the go-tos. You know. Have you ever learned some important things from the cheesy PSAs that ran at the end of cartoons? Because as you know, knowing is half the battle. Oh, man.
I wouldn't say I learned anything important, but I remember seeing them.
Stand by.
All right. Yeah.
Very rarely, Jill, do I have a prop that I can incorporate into something like this. The next question is, have you ever owned a Garfield plush or a comic book?
Yes, I had the plush.
Same.
In fact, I think
Here he is.
I loved Garfield. I loved Garfield. Who wouldn't love a cat that ate lasagna and hated people?
Right. And beat the shit out of the dog. Like that's awesome. That's awesome stuff. I had actually gotten this as a Christmas gift. Not this last Christmas, but the year before, from Sean Grugel's son.
Oh,
And then last year, Sean found a bunch of original of the Garfield books, and he bought me several of those. I'm into Garfield. Love me some Garfield.
see, I didn't know they had comic books. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know there was a Garfield comic book. I probably would have read it. But yeah,
It's
I
not.
loved Garfield.
It wasn't looked at as a regular comic book. They were long, but short. You know what I mean? They were like weird. It was a weird shape. It was almost like, you know how comic strips are in newspapers. It looks like that on steroids, and it was cool.
Okay.
All
Because I
right.
always loved the Garfield comic strip. Always.
Yeah. Have you ever played in a jungle gym that was made out of metal pipes and was not so easy to lose a grip on, but also got extremely hot in the summer?
Yep. On the playground every day.
Right. Not like the shit they've got nowadays. Everything is, well, you gotta be careful. You don't want to hurt. Christ, that was part of the fun, was risking busting your front teeth out when you're, doing the flippy doos and whatnot. Then
Absolutely.
you scorch your ass with the slides.
Yep. Those fucking death traps. We had like the tornado slide, and when that got hot, that was a long way down to be burning your skin.
Yeah, 100%. And lastly, have you ever yelled, "I learned it from watching you," after watching the Like Father, Like Son anti-drug PSA?
I still yell that.
this one was kind of close in terms of who had and who had not. 38% had done it, 39% had not, 23% didn't know what the fuck we were talking about. So that was fun.
Yeah, that
That
was
was a
fun
fun
one.
list.
When I was
Yeah.
here. Yeah,
Well,
I still yell. I learned it, like, Royal asked me a question about something, and I'll say, I learned it from watching you, and he'd be like, shut the fuck up. I told you, that poor man is tortured.
is he though? Is he really?
No.
I didn't think no.
Maybe a little.
Like, there were a couple of these things on here where it instantly took me back to being a kid, you know, in the 80s. And that's what I really appreciate about doing this show, about finding, you know, about you finding these lists and that bring up, like, some of these went granular, you know, a lot of them, you know, unless you grew up in that era, you have no idea what we were talking about. But those who did, they're like, oh my God, I hadn't thought about that in 40 years.
Right, yeah.
So it was cool.
Yeah, honestly, I forgot about the Sweet Pickles book, but yeah, I had a lot of those.
You brought up the Rubik's Cube keychain. You know, we saw the Squeeze-Its, and you know, there's a few things on here where I'm like, oh my God, I forgot all about that. Beverly Cleary books, like I remember those.
Yeah.
The sweet gimmick I wasn't familiar with, but Strawberry Shortcake and all this other stuff. So yeah, it certainly was such a time back in that era. So
yeah,
good find, my dear. Very good find this week. So we will go ahead and start winding this down, put a bow on this week's episode before Jill loses her connection again and really goes off the rails. And believe me, nobody wants to see that. We certainly appreciate everybody tuning in here this week. And again, check out the online store, pfcstore.printify.me, and then starting April the 15th, you'll be able to go to pfcsummer.printify.me. Jill, you weren't on here when I was mentioning it a little bit ago. You were trying to get back into the call, but almost 100 items were added over the last few days. So tank tops, hats, pickleball sets, kids clogs. There's all kinds of shit on there. Beach towels, a new lineup of beach towels. I think, you know what? While we're doing this, let me...
Well, before you do anything, I'm gonna let you know. Like, one of the times when I lost connection on the phone, I just see your face in a still mode. I can't see anything.
Right now, you can't.
Nope, I see your face frozen from when I lost connection.
What in the hell?
I don't know. Stupid phones, man. I'm telling you. I'm going to have to invest in a better Wi-Fi extender, because this one is not it.
I guess let me try to share something real quick and see if it busts it loose, and if not, the folks will be able to see it before you do, which is unfortunate. But let me try to stand by, folks. Stand by. Share screen.
Okay, that I see. I see movement.
Can you see this?
Oh, that is awesome.
This is the new Creepy Soup beach towel that is going to be made available on the online store beginning April the 15th. Again, that's going to be pfcsummer.printify.me. This here is your... Yeah, see, there's something going on because they should have immediately pulled up. So there's some sort of lag going on right now. But this is the pickleball set that this is a fun to play. You get 2 paddles and 2 balls with the set, and each adorning the logo for Creepy Soup. And then, yeah, it's pretty cool. This was another fun. This I'll show you this too. This is what we call our Sunrise series. So it's got Creepy Soup with the sunrise in the background. The logo is right here. It doesn't show up very well on the purple shirt, but it is available also in black and white and gray and in different colors like that. Let me try to... There they are. I showed you this. I know I sent you a picture of these. These are the kids' clogs. What else do they call these things, Jill?
Crocs.
What kind of shoes are these? Crocs. Thank you. God damn, why couldn't I think that? So, yeah, these are the Creepy Soup ones. They also have a white sole on them, if you prefer the white sole. There was one more thing I wanted to show you real quick. That's why people tune in here, because they get an exclusive preview of what's coming. The bathing suit.
Oh, bathing suit? That would... Okay. That's cute.
Yeah. So there's a few different... Oh, hang on now. I didn't leave Roy out. Absolutely not did I leave Roy out. Because here he gets the Creepy Soup Sunburst swim shorts.
Nice. We can go on our anniversary vacation as twinsies.
There you go. I expect pictures. Here we go. This is what I was wanting to show you. These are the basketball jerseys. This is the front, and that is the back.
That is amazing.
Just to put it in context, this is what it looks like with our male model. And it does come in black, and it does come in gray.
I like the gray one, actually.
And both of these have matching shorts that go with it. Let me try to put, right here.
Oh, my.
On one side, you've got the 13. On the other side will be the Creepy Soup logo. See, this shit should be popping up way faster than this. So there's a 13. And then... yeah, this shit's annoying me. Way too long. Yeah, there, right there is the Creepy Soup logo. So, something to look forward to. This, as you, because I know you need more shit to buy, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I'm a bit of a shopaholic.
I've heard something like that, yeah. So, all right, let's get out of here this week. And we certainly appreciate everybody tuning in here. Again, check out the online store. Check out pfcnetwork.net for all the latest information on our website, on all of our shows. And stay tuned to all of our socials for any late-breaking news and developments. With that, go out this week, be awesome to yourselves and to each other, and we'll see you next time right here on What the 80s, here on the PFC Entertainment Network.